With the warmer weather finally here or just around the corner for some of you, let's think about spring vacations with our littles. If you are like me and taking a flight with your infant or toddler makes you nervous, this episode is for you. Today we are chatting about travel tips with your baby and how to have a good time on vacation or maybe a staycation if you're going somewhere maybe an hour or two away and that's still kind of a big drive for your little one. We're going to dive deep into all of the fun topics. Thanks for joining us. This is Newbies.
He's gorgeous.
It's a girl.
Surprise! The whole family's here.
So when are you having the next one?
It's just poop.
Ready for another?
Wow, you look really tired.
Ready to go back to work?
Yellow poop? Seriously?
Did you sterilize this? Sex? Now? You've got to be joking.
You should sleep when the baby sleeps.
She doesn't look anything like you.
I thought you already had your baby.
I did.
Babies don't come with instructions, so there's Newbies, helping new moms and new babies through the first year.
Welcome to Newbies. My name is Kaylee Hunt, and I'll be your host today. If you haven't already, be sure to visit our website at newmommymedia.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, which keeps you updated on all the episodes we release each week. Another great way to stay updated is to hit that subscribe button in your podcast app. And if you're looking for a way to get even more involved in our show, then check out our online community. It's called Mighty Moms. That's where we chat more about the topics discussed here on our show. And it's also an easy way to learn about our recordings so you can join us live. Our expert today is Aja Pryor, a CBWS-trained baby-wearing educator with 6 years of experience who is passionate about supporting parents in this journey by introducing them to the transformative benefits of baby wearing. So fun fact, Aja has been on our show before. We did a whole episode about baby wearing, and I'm just taking a wild guess. She's on this show today because baby wearing comes in handy when you're on vacation and when you're traveling. Aja, thank you for being here. Tell us more about your family and where you're located.
Yes, thank you for having me back, Kaylee. This was so fun last time, so I look forward to today's topic. So I'm located in Los Angeles with my family, my husband and my 7-year-old daughter, and we also have a 25-year-old son. So we've got a huge age gap there.
I love that. But I'm assuming when you do go on vacation, you have to think of places that can accommodate both, right? So when you did have a toddler, something fun for the toddler, but then something fun for your 20-year-old, you know what I mean? Or something fun for parents and something decent, for, your teenager and your newborn. Anyway, I'm excited to get into all of the fun topics. Vacationing is one of my favorite topics, honestly. I wish I can vacation more often. But anyway, we'll talk about all of that and the tips for bringing on your child after this break. Thank you for joining us. So we are discussing practical family travel hacks. So let's just jump right into it. Let's chat about your first trip with your daughter, right? So when she was under 1, how did you feel? I'll say for me, I lived in Hawaii. My husband's military. So we were living in Hawaii. She was born in Hawaii. And Hawaii is very small. We island hopped with her. And then both of our families, my husband and I, are from California. So we would always take a 5-hour flight to see them in the Bay. And so my daughter, her first plane ride, I think she was 12 weeks old. It was just as soon as we got the clear from our doctor that she could safely travel, we did. And so I was a nervous wreck. And everyone told me, at 12 weeks, at 3 months, you're going to be fine. You need to be worried about toddlers traveling, right? And now that I have a toddler, they are so right. So I want to say to all the new moms listening to this, it's okay. Taking a newborn / barely an infant was such a breeze. Anyway, question for you, Asha. I'm taking away the spotlight. When did you first travel with your daughter? And what was that like?
Her first trip was, she was around 3 months old. As I mentioned, I have an older son and we took him and dropped him off at college, actually. And she was 3 months old. And that was a trip from Los Angeles to Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And I was really worried. I did all of the research. Just, worried about her ears on the plane.
Oh,
and,
yes.
then how we had, when you're traveling with a baby, you feel like you have to pack up the whole house to take
Mhm.
with you. So it's like, what was I taking? How would she do on the plane? And I totally just put too much thought into everything because it just all worked out. At the end of the day, it all works out. So her first trip was to Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, I wore her in our baby carrier through the airport, which made our lives a lot easier. She was content. I felt great. I felt confident that she was close to me, that she was safe and, people's germs weren't covering her and all of that. And once we got there, it was just fine. So, lots of tips to share when traveling with babies of all ages, and making it work for you.
I so agree. I wore my daughter, in the airport, and I love, and even like I remember I was worried about TSA, and this is so silly of me. I breastfed on demand. I pumped to alleviate pressure, not to feed. She refused a bottle, and I still packed breast milk. I don't know. I was
Mhm.
just one of those moms. I was like, well, what if she takes a bottle this time? And I will say, we have episodes about specifically breastfeeding and flying. But for me, going through two TSAs, one in Hawaii and one in San Francisco, it was so easy. The TSA agents were very insecure. They were all very accommodating. They're like, "Oh, breast milk, you're
Mhm.
good." They like
Mhm.
wipe it down really quick, I guess, and they would wipe my hands. And I even wore her through the monitor.
Yes.
And I didn't have to take her off, And
Yes.
so for any moms who are worried about that, and I will say, I think once my daughter was walking, I would just pick to this day, 'cause she's almost 2. She turns 2 in like 2 days. We never had to have her stand by herself and get screened. Anyway, so all that being said, way less stressful than worst case scenarios that new moms think of, which is so, so helpful. Next question really is, let's talk about flying since we're on this topic. What are some things that you brought with you? Let's do like age too. So let's do like maybe 6 months and under.
Okay.
What are some things that worked, and some things that you probably didn't pack once your baby was a little bit older? Or maybe this was the second, third flight and you knew you didn't need that. So, what are some good things to pack when you are flying with an infant?
Great question. So when you're flying with an infant, obviously you need a car seat. The FAA does suggest, even though children under the age of 2 can fly sitting on a parent's lap, what's considered a lap child, the FAA does recommend that each child have their own seat and that they use a car seat in the plane seat. I personally did not do that. I definitely took advantage of that under 2 flying free. And so, whether you prefer to bring your car seat on the plane, or if you check it, you can go that route as well. You will need your car seat though. The car seat and a stroller will check for free, so that's not considered part of your bag allowance. Um, I would say diapers. So, what we did when our daughter was under 6 months, and we took quite a few trips, we would check her car seat. We had the car seat cover, right? Because you definitely want to protect the car seat. We would
Mhm.
pack the diapers in that cover of the car seat so that we didn't have to worry about the diapers taking up too much space in the luggage. So that's definitely a hack right there. Go ahead and load up your car seat and get one of those covers. You can get them on Amazon, one of the car seat covers, and pack as much as you can in there. I also suggest a small travel size stroller because while baby wearing is super convenient, sometimes a stroller is really useful. Let's say you're going out to eat somewhere and you don't want to have to be eating and dropping crumbs on your baby's head. You can sit them in their stroller
Mhm.
while you're out having a meal. So I would say a travel size stroller. A lot of times, I think parents forget to pack extra clothes for themselves on the
Oh,
plane.
yes.
We
Yes.
we know, okay, pack at least 2 or 3 extra outfits for baby. What happens when baby spits up on you or has a
Mhm.
blowout, an epic blowout? That trust me, that happened when my son was an infant on the plane. You wanna be able to have a change of clothes for yourself as well. I would say, especially as your child is getting older, around 6 months old, they're still fairly young, but 6 months and up, you want to bring some type of activity for them. Um, whether that be some type of toy, something that gets their attention, for those longer flights. Definitely be mindful of the pressure when babies are on the airplane, they're in their ears. So you'll want to either give them a pacifier or nurse them while during takeoff and landing, or give them a bottle, something that they can suck on to help alleviate that pressure in their ears. If you are baby wearing, you can baby wear. You can keep your baby in the carrier on the plane. However, they will ask you during takeoff and landing just to take them out of the carrier and hold them in your arms. But then once that plane takes off and you're in the air, then you can go ahead and put your baby back in the carrier. Um, I also suggest that if there are larger items, let's say, or heavier items, let's say you are bottle feeding your baby and you need to get a bunch of formula, maybe wait until you get to the destination. Maybe just take what you need for travel and obviously extra just in case there's any delays. But any of the heavier items, you can buy when you're in a store once you've gotten to your destination.
I so agree. I would buy the smallest pack of diapers, and take that with me. Like, that's what I would pack rather than take the 52 pack, or I think I would buy like the 20 pack or the 18 pack because that would get me through a day. Like, I know for sure my daughter's not going through 18 diapers in a day. And so, yes, I so agree. The bigger, bulkier stuff you can definitely buy once you get to your destination. I also would add, I love that you said bring a pair of clothing for parents. This totally happened to me. We were on a flight and it was just one of those flights where my daughter was just up the whole time and she was drinking a bunch of water and, eating food. And then she just like pees all over herself. And where is she sitting? On top of me. And I was like,
Sounds about
lovely.
right.
She had to change of clothes. I don't.
Right.
And so,
Yes.
yes, I love, love, love that tip. Definitely bring just an extra shirt and like an extra pair of shorts or leggings or pants,
Or
whatever it may
money.
be for parents, because that is so, so helpful. Last question in this little section for flying is, why might it be a good idea to postpone some vacation ideas? Example, right? I personally am not comfortable on a 12+ hour flight.
Well,
I wouldn't want to put my daughter through that. Now, I do have a friend who totally went to from Hawaii. Japan's about 9 hours. And she went to Japan, I think twice with her daughter and had a great time. Loved it. And it worked for them. I'm too stressed out about that. I guess pros and cons. You said you went international with your kid. What
well,
are some pros and cons to doing that? And how would you even prepare for that?
another really good question. So I try to coordinate. So when my daughter was about 14 months, maybe 13, 14 months, we actually flew to Senegal, West Africa, but we
Mm.
flew through Paris. So we intentionally flew through Paris so that we could rest there for a few days from California to Paris. It is a 9-hour flight. And so we stayed there for 4 days before then taking the 5-hour flight from there to Senegal. And so that was pretty intense. Luckily, my daughter just was the best baby, and she literally did not give us, on the plane. She didn't give us too much of a problem. I think we were even able to sleep for a while. I mean, it's a distant memory now, but I don't remember anything. Now, I do remember there was another family on our way back from Paris that it was just, my heart just broke for them because they were flying with a young baby who was not happy. And I mean, this baby cried probably 6 out of the 9 hours.
No, poor thing.
I know. So I would say, just to step back a little bit, my biggest concern with flying with young children under the age of 12 months internationally is that there are usually certain vaccinations that are required.
Hmm.
And, obviously, you have to be very careful with that. And so, that would probably be one of my major kind of fallbacks when we're thinking about, traveling with very young children. Now, if it's somewhere here in the States or, somewhere else, I mean, just certainly the risk of illness. I know I always took comfort in the fact that I was breastfeeding. So, I had read and learned that it really boosts the baby's immunity. So I felt somewhat safe with that. But I would say definitely that would be a major concern, I think, for some parents. And then also, obviously, your child, you and your child, your time, your sleep is all out of whack. So, trying to regulate a sleep routine when traveling internationally or taking those really long flights can be very challenging. And so I could see why some parents would opt to wait a little bit longer until the child is a little older.
I so agree. Yeah, like I said, I have not done that. I'm not brave enough. And I love that you even mentioned that your daughter was totally fine on that long flight. I find 9 times out of 10, when you look back, it's really not as bad as you thought it was going to be, or not as bad as it was in the moment. Every kid has a little meltdown. Every kid has, a little fussiness. And even like crying in the moment for 2, 3 minutes seems like forever, but it really isn't. It's okay. And I've been on, I think, about 10 to 12 flights with my daughter in her little 2 years of life. And, she's going to cry sometimes. And it's not, I've never had any complaints, So I think most people are so accommodating and they so understand. I do remember I was flying a really quick one from like LA to San Francisco and my daughter was just not having it. She just,
Right.
that's like a 50-minute flight. If that, for like 30 minutes, she's fussy. She's not screaming her head off. And like, even that, I was like, oh no, like let's look out the window or let's, look at the screen. And
Uh-huh.
really, it was fine. Everyone was fine. Everyone around us had headphones on. So in the moment, I know it's stressful to think like, oh no, what if my kid has a meltdown? But overall, most people are very accommodating. And I promise you, you probably won't be the only person with a baby on a flight. There's probably at least one other person, which was always comforting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you mentioned that because that is definitely a very much a fear, I think, of a lot of parents, especially those parents who are traveling with multiple children that, just taking control of their kids and, possibly having those meltdowns. And, to that, I say, yes, most people are accommodating. And if you happen to come across that person who's not, who's just, giving you the side eye and making you feel anything less than what you are, which is a wonderful mother, and doing your absolute best, then that says more about them than it does about you.
Hmm.
Because, at the end of the day, we are doing our best and like you said, it's temporary. It's just in that moment. Just take a breath, take care of your baby and just that's all you can do. You can't worry about what anyone else is saying or thinking. Most I've certainly been on that end of it. Oh, trust me, while my daughter was great going to Paris, I've had real meltdowns on the plane. So I've been on both ends of that. And like you said, most people just show a lot of grace. And, most parents can relate. They've been there, So I wouldn't worry about that at all. Just
I
take it
love
each
that.
moment at a time.
Yay. Well, let's take a quick break. And when we return, I want to dive into like day trips and car trips and hacks that way. So we will be right back. Welcome back. We are continuing our discussion. So let's dive into day trips, car trips. Now, my daughter hated the car for probably 8 to 9 months. She
Mhm.
was just not a fan of the car seat. Yeah, that was a stressful thing. I was stressed about flying. Car trips for me, we still have not been on very long car trips. I think the longest we've ever been with her is one time we drove to Disneyland from the Bay, and the next time we went to Disneyland, I flew with her. Like that's how bad it went. So I have some tips for some moms who have kids like mine. But question for you: let's talk about day trips. What are some travel hacks you have for parents of kids under 1? So it could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it may be. Um, for extended car rides that are probably over, your typical 90 minutes to 2 hours?
Mhm. So I too can relate. So my daughter hated the car from the time she came home from the hospital until
Oh,
she
yeah.
was about 1 years old. She hated the car. She hated her car seat. I mean, I don't even think it was a car seat. It was just something about the car.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, I understand. We avoided it wherever we could, but living in Los Angeles and that Los Angeles traffic,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes what should have been 20 minutes would turn into an hour. So I get it. What helped during that time? Someone had suggested that we bring our white noise machine with us on car trips. And so we did that, and that certainly helped. Um, Realistically, one of us, usually either my husband or myself, one would drive and the other would be in the back seat with
Yes, exactly. Yep.
with the baby, doing all the things, singing and making the faces and, entertaining her
Oh,
by
yeah.
all means. And again, now that she's 7, I look back on it and it's a distant memory, but as we're talking about it, it's like I'm literally living that again. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
it. But then that phase passed. This too shall pass was my slogan just going through that time. But day trips can be really amazing. So we live again in Los Angeles, and Palm Springs is a favorite family destination for us. It's about a 2.5 hour drive. And so we would go and, stay a couple of days in Palm Springs. This was not the first 12 months. We just could not do it at that time. But I
Mhm.
think she did do her first trip to Palm Springs. She was probably 4 or 5 months. And that was great. I mean, I say take the trips where you can, where you feel comfortable, where you feel confident, because these are all great memories that we're creating with our little ones and with our family. They're only going to be tiny for so long. That first year goes by so fast. I know, you hear it all of the time, but it truly does. And so if you can take the day trip, to get out and make those memories with your family, then do it. And I wish y'all the best in the car.
Yeah. I was so envious of parents who said that their kids would just, or their babies, right, would just sleep in the car because that was so not my child. It would be like a whole, I'm not even joking, like 15 minutes of crying before she would like tucker herself out and sleep. And it would be me in the back seat holding her hand, patting her, pulling over and, nursing her, and then having my husband pull back on the road. So my tip for long car rides, if you have a child who just doesn't like the car like mine, be prepared for many, many stops. I hated listening to her cry. And I always like set like an internal timer in my head of like, okay, it's been about 5 minutes. Maybe she does need to nurse again, or maybe she just wants to be held and rocked for a little bit. And sometimes that would work. She would fall asleep in my arms, and then I would safely put her back in the car seat and we would be able to drive for like 30 to 40 minutes before she would wake up. But yes, I would have tons of toys and unconventional toys too. Like I would have, I don't know, like a spatula would work for her, or like a remote would work for her. Like not just her normal infant toys, but like random toys, like cotton balls. She loved throwing cotton balls everywhere. And so I would have fun little makeshift things that I would bring. And then it does get easier once they start to eat. However, I've been told, you really don't want a child to be eating in their car seat.
Oh,
Talk to your doctor about that. I don't want to give a certain age because I don't know, but I do know I was told wait to have them drink and eat in a car seat until they're of a certain age, and wait because it could be a choking hazard. So that is very good
nice.
information to know.
Yes.
But once they are of age and or of weight, snacks are so helpful.
Snacks are always
Definitely.
helpful.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
having snacks.
Yeah, definitely helpful with that. And so I guess let's talk a little bit about baby wearing on vacation, right? I feel like that opens the doors to so much more. So rather than walking, let's say Disneyland, because I went a few times with my daughter, I we would bring the baby wearer and we could totally walk around and hold her, and even some rides you can baby wear, which is awesome. Like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, whatever it's called. You can baby wear on that ride, which is amazing. I want to say it's the same for It's a Small World and Pirates, shockingly.
Mhm.
Anyway, but vacationing, amusement parks, day trips, and all that. What's the benefit of baby wearing while on vacation, and how can it open up doors to do more?
Absolutely. Baby wearing is it's a safe place. Baby wearing is a place of convenience. Baby wearing is a place where you can keep your baby safely on your body. You can snuggle with your baby. If they're having meltdowns or they are completely overstimulated, many times putting them in that carrier and just rocking with them or walking will help to regulate them, regulate those emotions. So baby wearing while at home or baby wearing while traveling is just such a game changer. Now, for many, I mean, you can literally pack your carrier up in a bag or in a diaper bag and bring it with you. Like you said, amusement parks, where you're standing in lines. And yes, there are strollers all over the place. There's stroller parking.
Yes.
But if you have to wait in a line for 45 minutes, your arms are going to get tired at some point. So
Oh,
I
yes.
definitely suggest bringing that carrier. It's great for those tight spaces where there's just a lot of people, or if you are walking through an area, if you're, on vacation and you're walking through an area where safety might be an issue. Maybe there's some big dangerous equipment around or just a lot of people around. Just having
Mm.
your baby on your front or your back is really going to help you to be able to maneuver a lot more easily through those areas. And also just, especially as you start getting into the toddler years, those little legs have like a mile limit on it. They get tired
They
easily.
do. Yep.
And big kids need naps too, and so having that carrier can many times be a safe space for them to get that nap. And also saving your arms and your back from having to hold them, when you have that carrier. So I always suggest for any parent traveling. I know when we traveled, whether it be to Atlanta or to Palm Springs or to Paris, like the wearing our daughter in the carrier was such a powerful part of that vacation experience because it just allowed us a lot of freedom. And, she got to see the world from up high. She wasn't in a stroller just kind of looking at everyone's butts.
So true. Or with the sun in their eyes too. I feel bad.
Correct.
Oh, that's so true. Yay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We have a few more questions coming up to wrap up this episode, but let's take one of our last breaks. Welcome back to Newbies. We are continuing our conversation. So, Aja, it has been a pleasure to have you back on our show. Where can our listeners find you if they want to? Let's say they have a big vacation plan, right? And they're like, what baby carrier should I bring? Is this okay? Can I get a fit check? I'm in the LA area. Where can they find you? And how can they work with you?
Instagram, I am at Love Aja. That's LOVEAZJA. And I am happy to answer any baby wearing questions, any carrier recommendations. That is my jam. In LA, I'm around. If we have any big events, we will have that on our Instagram page. I also work as a baby wearing educator with Lila Baby. So you can also find them on Instagram at Lila Baby. We do have events from time to time. So just follow both Lila Baby and myself, and we will hopefully get to meet some of your listeners in person.
Yay. Okay. And so the last question I have, I'm switching it up this time. I want you to share, and I have a funny story too. Just a parenting fail to make other new moms feel better, maybe, about traveling, just to kind of say it gets easier. This happens to everyone. I already shared about my daughter peeing on me during the plane, but
Yeah.
believe it or not, that was not the worst thing. I'll go first. And so for me, I don't know what I was thinking, but this was our first trip to Disneyland. And guess who doesn't bring extra clothes? Me. I don't, for my child too. For my child, I don't bring extra clothes. And of course, she is over 6 months at the time. So she's like eating human food. And so I'm getting her like avocado and like we were at I'm trying to think. It was the Pooh Bear place to eat. I forget, the 100 Acre Woods or whatever. That's where we were eating before it turned into Tiana's. Anyway, but we were over there and like she just gets the chili all over herself. And so what do? I find the nearest store and I had to buy her like a $35 onesie that, I didn't want to get her. Wanted to get her like cute ears or something.
Mhm.
Anyway, parenting fail. It happens to everyone. So just try to remember to pack extra clothes for your kid on top of everything else, right? Like the wipes and the diapers. Fun fact though about Disneyland. They do have really good nursing sections or parent sections where they basically have everything you need. So they have extra wipes, they have extra diapers, they have extra bottles, they even have formula for people who forget that stuff. So that's fun. And then, of course, at every store, there's clothes for every kid. But anyway, that is my parenting fail on vacation. Aja, I'm tossing it over to you.
Yeah, so I have a major parenting fail. One time we were staying in a hotel, and I typically will pack like just a trash bag or something to put like all of our, dirty clothes that accumulate as we're gone. So I was doing that. I added everything to the bag, and my husband, not realizing that those were our clothes, actually thought it was trash
Oh,
and
gosh.
out to the dumpster, and we lost like several days of clothes.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
So definitely don't use a trash bag for your dirty clothes. Use something else or clearly communicate with one another what which which bag is which. And so you don't lose your clothes like us.
That's so I will say, I love that not use a trash bag, but use a bag of some sort for your clothes. I didn't do that until I had a daughter. And so now me, my husband, and my daughter, right, we're all going on vacation. I actually do bring with me like one of those foldable, like cheap, like $8 laundry baskets from like Walmart or whatever. And that is also a good travel hack. I definitely do bring a bag to put our clothes in, whether
That's
I
a
do
must.
laundry or not. I like just having it outside of our suitcase. I think
Yes.
that
Oh,
is just it just keeps my brain a little bit less cluttered and less stressed. That sucks.
yours
That
is a much better option. I have since gotten portable travel bag as well,
yeah.
but just this was early on, and her clothes were so tiny, so the bag was light with her clothes and a couple of my clothes, and it just went all wrong.
That's so funny. I can imagine you being like, "Where's the trash bag?" And your
Uh-huh.
husband's like, "The trash? Like
Uh-huh.
what?"
It's in the dumpster.
Oh, that's so funny. Aja, you are such a joy. We'll have to have you back on. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely love talking about these topics with you and your audience. So it's been my pleasure.
Yay. Well, be sure to check out newmommymedia.com where we have all of our podcast episodes, plus videos and more. That wraps up our show for today. Thanks for listening. If you love newbies as much as we do, please consider checking out the amazing businesses that sponsor our show week after week. And we'd also love for you to tell another new mama about this resource, which of course is absolutely free. And if you want to check out some of the other podcasts we produce, such as Preggy Pals, Parent Savers, The Boob Group, and Twin Talks, then visit our website at newmommymedia.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram for more information, giveaways, and more. Our handle is at newmommymedia. Thanks for listening to Newbies.
This has been a New Mommy Media production. The information and material contained in this episode are presented for educational purposes only. Statements and opinions expressed in this episode are not necessarily those of New Mommy Media and should not be considered facts. While such information and materials are believed to be accurate, it is not intended to replace or substitute for professional medical advice or care, and should not be used for diagnosing or treating healthcare problem or disease or prescribing any medication. If you have questions or concerns regarding your physical or mental health or the health of your baby, please seek assistance from a qualified healthcare provider.
Hey, mamas. Don't forget to check out Mighty Moms. It's our online community built for new moms just like you. Not only can you connect with other moms, but you can also join us backstage for special mom-only online events. And you'll also be notified when we're recording so you can join us as a special guest. Visit our website, newmommymedia.com, and click on the Mighty Moms banner. It's free. That's newmommymedia.com. See you there.